Hey everybody, for the last couple of months I've been telling you that if you get a really high quality, vigorous plant, you will be rewarded. Well, today I'm going to show you exactly what I mean, because when I tell you exactly how many plants are in each one of these containers, you might be a little surprised, because if you buy a good plant, one plant can go a really long way, and you're going to see it in some of these. So like this one here, this is the original Purple Wave Petunia. This one was one of the original kind of really vigorous trailing varieties that were self-cleaning. People fell in love with it. It really got people turned on to the idea of a trailing petunia, those big balls of color. And wave is still popular today, and it's available in a lot of colors. They also have different types of waves. So there's wave, easy wave, tidal wave, shock wave, E3 I think they call it. So lots of different types of waves out there. This one's the original and is one of the bigger ones. It tends to be a little bit flatter than some of the other varieties. It doesn't have quite that upward growth that you're going to see in some of these others, but still really nice petunia. And I think this one is available in seed. Most of these other varieties are not. So I've just seen it in seed catalogs. We get ours as a vegetative cutting because then they're a little farther along. So that's something to keep in mind. There are 2 plants in this container. So 2 plants get you this far. So, and this is the first week in June, so these still have growth that they can put on, and so that's just incredible when you think of 2 plants putting on this kind of show. Now this one in front here, this is a Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow combined with a Superbena Imperial Blue. So we put these together just because I wanted to see the 2 colors together. It's really beautiful, and I love how the verbena just kind of pops out through the Supertunia. This has been a really nice, easy Supertunia to work with. The Mini Vistas have smaller flowers, but they still have really good vigor, and there are very few plants that get this much flower coverage. So this one really puts on a show. For this one we used 2 of the Supertunia Mini Vista and 2 of the verbena. So I think we probably could have gotten away with only 1 Mini Vista and then had the 2 verbena, and it probably wouldn't look too much different. And it probably would give that verbena a little bit more of a prominence in there. But very happy with this. And both of these are 14-inch pots. I think most of them are 14-inch, and I have maybe one, there's only one 12-inch pot in here. So just fascinating. This one here, you're probably gonna recognize this color. This is the Supertunia Vista Bubblegum, sorry. Most famous petunia out there, and I'm forgetting the name. This is the giant one. This one gets so huge. It's the one that a lot of municipalities use. People love it, partly for the color and partly because it just gets so nice and big and full, easy to grow. It is one of the biggest of the Vistas as well. So when it comes to Supertunias, the Vista Bubblegum gets absolutely huge. So this is the mammoth one. That's in a 14-inch, 2 plants in this one. Right here is the Surfinia Amethyst Burst, and this one has been beautiful. I love it. Has that dark purple veining with that nice light lilac outside. Really beautiful flower on it. It's been covered in flowers since it started, and the Surfinias also have a really nice habit. They have that mounding and trailing, so you do get that upward growth as well as growing down the pot and around the pot. So this one's been great. Again, 2 plants in that 14-inch, unbelievable. This one over here is the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. 2 plants in there. I love the Jazzberry because it's one that we don't really do anything with. It basically keeps a little tidier habit than a lot of the other Supertunias. It just stays nice and tidy. We don't have to worry about any scragglers or any extras. This is just what it does, and it keeps that kind of tidy shape to it. So this one, and like the Silverberry, tend to have a little bit smaller flowers than say the Bubblegum, but still absolutely beautiful. So really in love with the Jazzberry. That was new last year. This one right here is the Color Blitz Blurific combined with Bee's Knees. And this one, these are really great. They did come in kind of small for us, so they took a lot longer to get up to size, but that's only because that's how we got them in. The other plants had come in a little bit bigger, so these were coming up from behind, but they've caught up really well and they get really good coverage. The Bee's Knees has been absolutely gorgeous. We have it in some other containers and it's just overflowing, and it's got great color. It does kind of, as it ages, the inside stays that kind of bright yellow and the outside just kind of gets a little frosted. Really beautiful plant. And just a little hint, Supertunia is coming out with Supertunia Saffron Finch next year, and it's extremely similar to this. So just saying, you might be on the lookout for that, but it's going to have a very similar habit and color and growth as this one. And this one we put 4 plants in just because we were balancing out the colors. Wait, let me count them because maybe it's, yeah, it is 4. So we put 2 of each in this one. This one over here, this is a different variety. This is the Super Cal Premium. These are the Petcoas, so this is a hybrid of a Petunia and a Calibracoa. And these are really nice because number one, they're not sticky. All these other Petunias, if you touch them, they leave a little bit of residue. These don't do that at all. This is the Super Cal Premium Purple Dawn mixed in with the Super Cal Snowberries. And people have asked in previous videos like, hey, how does the Super Cal compare to Supertunia? Very, very similar to the regular Supertunias, a little bit smaller than some of the Vistas, but you can see, I mean, this can keep up with just about any Petunia. And the nice thing about these two is they will definitely hold up right through frost. They're really, really hardy. They like the cold. This one over here, this is another wave. These are the Easy Wave though. So the Easy Waves do have a little bit more height than the original wave. They don't get quite as long and they don't trail as much, but their habit is a little bit tidier. So this one here has, so this one had, oh, I gotta tell you, this one had 2 of the Purple Dawn and 1 of the Snowberry in it. So 3 plants in this one, 2 plants in that one, 4, yep. This one here has 3. So we had 1 red Easy Wave and 2 white Easy Waves. So when you think about that, you know, it's pretty incredible that it doesn't take that many plants to get this kind of coverage. And if you look, this is the one that's in a 12-inch. And ultimately, we find that at this point in the season, the 12 inches and the 14 inches, we could put the same amount of plants in and they're gonna look the same right now. It's later on in the season when we have a hard time keeping up with watering on the 12 inches. And so that's when you start noticing the difference. The ones in the 12 inches, if we're not really good about watering and fertilizing it, they don't hold up as well. They tend to, and they kind of stop growing and they don't produce as many flowers. So we like to go in a little bit bigger basket just because we get those good results. I have some geraniums I'm gonna show you next. When it comes to geraniums, a lot of people think a geranium's a geranium, there's not that much different, but that's not the case. These Calliope interspecific geraniums are pretty incredible because not only are the flowers huge, but you can see the plants themselves get really, really large, really nice leaves on them. So you can see this one's in a 12-inch, this one is in a 14-inch pot, and they're just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. These are actually just getting started, so we're gonna see probably another couple inches of growth around the side. They're gonna just dome out with flowers as well because they do keep producing flowers more and more and more. This one down on the end, this is the Caldera Lavender Glow, and this one has really caught my attention because I love the flowers on it, and this one just started flowering, so you can see it kind of starts out kind of darker and then they fade. And it really does look like kind of glowing embers in here. I absolutely love this one, but what I like most about this one and the Caliente varieties is when the spent flowers are done, the blossoms fall off all by themselves, because with geraniums in general, you have to kind of crack off the spent flowers. This one, you could just leave these here. They look a little bit like a little fireworks in here, and then eventually they just kind of fall off on their own. The wind will kind of self-clean them, and you will end up with these little kind of stalks sticking up, but they're not that noticeable. So if you really are tired of cleaning geraniums, one of these varieties, that's the Caldera and the Caliente, they're gonna be really good options for you. They're really nice, and guess what? 2 geraniums in each of these. Now that might sound crazy, like, you know, only 2 geraniums get to this size, but that's how it is. If you take really good care of them and if they're kind of raised right, they will behave and perform really exceptionally. Right now I want to quickly give you my personal list for vigorous plants for containers. I chose these based on size, flower coverage, and their ability to last through the whole season. When it comes to petunias, I do give the top spot to Supertunias. However, I really like the Surfinias, Super Cal Cascadias, and then Sanguna, Wave, and the Easy Wave, as well as Headliner and Sure Shot have all done really well for us. If you're looking for a showy Calibracoa, the Cha-Cha is the way to go. It's a little bit hard to find though, but I have no hesitation in recommending the Superbells, Cabaret, Mini Famous Neo, Callies. I also like Iconic, Bloomtastic, and Calitastic. With Verbena, hands down Superbena has been my favorite. However, I also like the Firehouse, Endurascape. Lanai and Lascar have done a good job as well. Just remember there are upright verbenas, trailing verbenas, and landscape verbenas. For containers, I like the trailing verbenas. With geraniums, I really like Calliope, Mojo, Dynamo, Mantra, and Boldly. However, I might be premature on that one because this is the first season that I'm growing a Boldly geranium, so I'm not sure how it does right to the end of the season, but I have a pretty good feeling about it. With Lantana, I really like the Bandolista. Luscious, Bandolero, and Hot Blooded have been fantastic. Begonias don't tend to get to the size of some of the plants that I mentioned. However, a lot of the trailing varieties do get nice and big, so my favorites would be Encanto Waterfall, Illumination, and Bossa Nova. And tuberous begonias, although they're not trailing, do tend to hang over the pot a little bit. I like the Selenias, the Nonstop and Nonstop Joys, and the Prisms. I certainly hope I've proven my point that great containers start with great plants, and all the varieties I mentioned here are really incredible varieties. And I didn't even mention the fact that they continuously bloom right through the end of the season. So you get this incredible flower coverage and this kind of easy care right through usually first frost or even after that, because petunias especially, and even some of the geraniums, can last past the first frost. And I know a lot of times, people will say like, I don't know where to get these, or, I can't find that variety. Go to your local nursery and let them know what you're looking for. Just say, I need something that's easy care, that's gonna bloom all season and get really good flower coverage. They should be able to point you in the right direction. If you're going with, petunias, let them know, like, I want something that's self-cleaning. If you're going with geraniums, let them know, I want big flowers and I want them to keep flowering all through the season. I don't want them to peter out when it gets hot. So those kind of questions are gonna help your nursery point you in the right direction. A lot of people, your natural tendency is just go for those little packs because they're they're so affordable, they're inexpensive, and you can cover a lot of ground with them. But ultimately, sometimes just getting some of these better varieties, you're going to get more mileage out of them in the end, and they're going to have this big impact with a lot less work.